Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca Stew and the crew. I'm Rebecca and today we have some Dollar Tree home decor DIY ideas. So let's go over our supplies for our first craft today. We'll need one of these wood signs from the Dollar Tree and some gloves. We'll need this lightweight spackling. We're also going to be using some scissors and hot glue. We'll need a paintbrush and some Mod Podge. I'm also going to use these handles from the Dollar Tree. We'll need a drill if you use the handles. I'll give you guys a suggestion for something different. If you don't have one of those, we'll use a pencil, some paint, and then the Dollar Tree wall creation stickers. We're also going to use some rub-on transfers and a razor blade. I'm going to need a ruler and it's time to get crafty. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this handle from the sign and we'll just put that aside. We won't need that any longer. And we want to fill in these little holes here so it no longer looks like a sign. So using a glove, I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of that spackling and start forcing it down into the hole to fill in the space. And I also flip this over and do it from the back so I completely fill in the hole. I just keep rubbing over top of it until I get it completely smooth, flat, and filled in. And then I remove the excess residue from the top of the frame as best I can. The bottom, I'm really not as worried about. I just kind of went over it with a dry paper towel and I was able to get most of it off. I'm mainly wanting to get the front holes removed or covered up so that you won't see them during the finished product. But I just keep working little bits at a time. It takes a very small amount and then we'll let that dry. Then we're going to go over the whole entire frame with some white chalk paint. It's really up to you if you use paint for the frame or not. I thought it looked well with the decor and I didn't want to use a darker wood stain. I wanted to lighten it up just a little bit. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to choose some of these wall creation stickers. And some of the leaves had white pieces in the center. So I just kind of went over those with my razor blade to cut out the white center so I can use it on the tray. And then once I decide where I want the leaf and the direction that I want it to be, it's okay if it's really close to the side. You can always trim off the excess later on. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the flowers. Kind of taking my time. I don't stick them down right away. I just kind of hold them above the frame before I stick them down to make sure they're where I want them to be before I stick them down. Not that you can't remove them, they come up quite easily, but I just wanted to make sure I had them where I wanted them to be just in case they didn't want to lift up off the background. They didn't want them to stick and tear as I'm removing them to move them around. And I just kind of work my way up the side and around the corner, adding a little bit of flowers, just a little bit at a time until I fill in this space to fill in, just kind of what my idea is for this little sign here. Now you can use all the flowers, completely fill in the bottom. You don't have to put any flowers on it really. You can hand paint flowers. It's really up to you. But I just thought these would look really pretty on this sign. And I wanted some additional leaves. And of course, they didn't have any smaller pieces. So I'm just going to cut some leaves off of the larger flowers and use that to fill in some of the spaces and just keep layering the leaves and the flowers in this corner. And then we've layered the leaf here. I have it pretty much filled in the way I want it to be. I think that's enough flowers for what I'm going to do here. And then I'm just going to take that razor blade because I put some of the flowers really close to the edge and the flowers kind of go up over the corner, but they wanted to flip over the top of the lip from that frame there since the picture is kind of inset in the frame and I really didn't want them on top of the frame. So I'm just going to trim them off with the razor blade. And I just go right along that edge with the razor blade and then just remove the little sticker pieces. Now we're going to start figuring out where to put the drawer pulls for the side because I wanted to make this look like a tray. And these are so fun. I found these at the Dollar Tree. They sell them in the solid black. They also have a few versions that are gold and they even have some wall hooks now. So once I figure out my spacing, I'm just going to draw around it with a pencil so I know where the pieces will need to be. And then once I figure out exactly where they're going to go, I just draw a little dot right in the center of the circle so I know where to drill at. Then I take my ruler and I try to make this as even as possible by holding the ruler straight across, making sure it's level and putting the dots in the same spot. If you don't have a drill or these drawer pulls, you could use one of these dowels and some little beads that Dollar Tree sells. Just take the beads and glue those to the side of the tray. And then once you have those glued on, you can take these little pieces. They were in the nautical aisle, like the nautical themed pieces. I think you get like 8 in a bag, and you can use those dowels as a handle. So you don't have to do this part with the drill if you don't want to put these handles on. It's really up to you. But I am going to use the handles and drill through here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just drill straight through. I want to make sure I put something underneath of the sign. Of course, I don't want to drill all the way through my table, so I need to lift this up off the back a little bit. And this is pretty much just like that MDF board, so it looks like a lot of sawdust, but it's really just cardboard that you're pretty much drilling through. And then we just wipe it off with a paper towel. We have all of the holes drilled, and then we'll pop the screws through the back. Not all the way through, just enough. And then we'll add the drawer pulls on the side and start screwing down the screws a little bit at a time. I don't go all the way down just because I want to make sure that it goes in nice and even. And I use my screw gun for that, but you could just use a screwdriver. You don't have to have a drill or a screw gun for this. And again, like I said, if you don't have a drill and that would make it hard for you, then just go ahead and think outside the box and figure out what else you could use on this side as a handle. Like the little dowel rods and beads would work perfectly here as well. They'd be pretty even if you painted them a different color to coordinate either with the side or the flowers. That would be really pretty as a handle on this side. So we've got the handles all drilled in. And then I wanted to use this as a tray to put like little um, kind of like perfume bottles and things like that. So I want to seal it because I really don't want anything to happen to these stickers, especially with anything sitting on it that could spill or leak. So we're just going to go ahead and do a really quick coat of Mod Podge over the stickers and the bottom of the sign here just to help seal it in and keep it from being destroyed from any moisture. Then we'll take one of these rub-on transfers. This one says you are a wildflower. And we're just going to figure out where we want that to be on the tray. And then we'll use a craft stick of some sort to go over top of it. And you'll notice it changing colors as it's sticking. And then once you have it all down, you can just peel off this top film. And then you've got your rub-on transfer there. And I did go over that with a little bit of Mod Podge as well, because I didn't want that to get ruined with any moisture or get scratched off by things moving around on the tray. And then we'll just let that dry and our tray is finished. I just love this so much. I think it's so fun. It's going to match my daughter's room perfectly. And this is our finished product. So now let's do the supplies for our second craft today. So what we're going to need for this one is we're going to need one Dollar Tree canvas. This is an 8x10 stretch canvas. We'll need a pack of doilies. And then we're going to need some paint, color of your choice, and some paint brushes or sponge brush. We'll need a razor blade. And then we're going to, again, use the rub-on transfers. We're going to need some scissors and some hot glue. And then we'll need some ribbon and little flowers or greenery of your choice. And then we'll need 4 thumbtacks. Those are optional. So let's get crafty. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to remove the staples out of the back of the frame so we can remove the canvas off of the frame itself. So we'll just remove all of the staples, then we'll go ahead and set the frame aside for now. And I chose to use this really pretty sage green color. I water it down just a little bit because mine was getting a little bit old. And I take one of the smaller doilies. I just hold it in place once I find the center of the canvas. And then using a large paintbrush, I just kind of go in like a dabbing motion and dab the paint through the holes in the sides of the doily. And I make sure I go over the edge just a little bit. I try to keep the edge that I do even all the way around. So I don't want one side to have like a whole bunch past the edge and then the other side just a little bit. Just try to keep it as even as possible so that when you remove the doily, it looks like a round circle and it doesn't look oblong in shape. So just keep going over it. Make sure you have the paint filled in all those little spaces. And then once you do, you can just gently lift that doily off of the background. And we've got this really pretty design left behind. And then we're going to take some small flowers and some ribbon and decorate this. This is a really simple, easy craft. So I have these light pink flowers, which I thought looked so pretty with that sage green. So I glued those on. I did 3 on each side. And then I took this little piece of greenery and I start cutting off little pieces and tucking that underneath of the pink flowers. Once I decide where I want it to be, then I add just a little dot of hot glue and then put the greenery right underneath of the flowers to give it a layered look. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the opposite just to keep it balanced. Once I have those little bits of flowers on, I decide to use this really pretty farmhouse ribbon from Dollar Tree. And we're just going to make a very simple little bow. And we'll glue that on right to the middle in between the flowers. And then we'll decorate this just a little bit more. I have these pink flowers from the spring collection that's just starting to come out now. They're like these little beaded flowers. Once I have those glued into place, we'll start adding our rub-on transfer. So I have this Simply Blessed, which I thought was really pretty. I crease it in the middle to find the center, and that's going to help me place this in the center of my wreath, because I know where the center of the canvas is just from folding it earlier to find the center before we did the paint with the doily. Then we're going to use our craft stick again to rub the transfer on. We can seal that with Mod Podge if you like. This is not going to have anything sitting on it, so I just left it as is. And then I cut out a few pieces of the little leaves and things on the rub-on transfer sheet, and I placed them kind of strategically around the base and the little bow there just to help fill in some of the spaces. As you can see, I just add a little bit as I go. I usually lay them down on the canvas before I decide if I'm going to add them or not, so I don't peel the backing off right away. I just kind of place them around and decide my placement before I peel that backing off, just to make sure it doesn't get stuck in the wrong place. Now we're going to go ahead and just add the frame back. We're adding some hot glue, and we're going to glue the top and the bottom so that I can pull the canvas tight on the side as I glue the sides down. So I glue one side down, I pull the canvas pretty tight underneath, and then push the frame down onto that hot glue. Then we'll take our razor blade and just trim around the canvas to get all that excess canvas off. Now this is the canvas that used to wrap around the frame. We're just doing the reverse canvas by adding the frame to the front instead of the back. Now we'll take those gold push pins and we'll just put one in each corner just to add a little bit of extra detail, make them look like nails that have been put in the sides just for some added detail. But again, that's optional. So this is a very simple house picture that you can use for like a tray. You can hang it, you can set it on a shelf. It's really up to you. Just a very simple home decor piece. Just in time for spring. I think it would look really pretty, of course, with Valentine's Day as well. So now for our third craft today, and the supplies we'll need for this one will be one of these round wood signs from Dollar Tree. We're going to use some more of these doilies, a couple different sizes. We'll need some scissors and hot glue, and then some paint colors of your choice. We'll need paint brushes and some leaves. I have these large leaves. I'm also going to use some berry garland. They're just starting to put this out for spring, the pink. And let's get crafty. This one's pretty easy to do as well. We're going to take a razor blade or something of the sort to remove this metal sign off of the front. There's my cat helping as usual. Then we remove all of the cardboard off of the front. And now we can have a nice smooth surface to paint. I'm only painting this in case you can see the wood through the doily once we add them. So you don't really have to paint the base. I'm painting it, like I said, just because I wasn't sure how well it was going to fill in when I do the craft that we're doing here. And I wanted to make sure we wouldn't see that brown through the paint. So now taking that same pink color, I'm going to add just a tiny little bit to my brush and start lightly rubbing it on the edges of the doily. So I'm using the smallest. There's 4 sizes that come in that pack. So I'm using the smallest size and the next size up. So the small and like medium, or there's like extra small, small, medium, and large. I'm using the extra small and the small, if that makes sense. There's 4 sizes. So once I dry brush the pink paint on, it's just a tiny little bit. I just flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. If you want, you can add a little bit of paint to the center, but it's really not necessary. And I'm going to use 2 different colors. One is like a berry wine color, and then the light pink. And we're just going to lightly brush that darker color on the edges of the doily, just like the other one. So we're going to mainly use the small size to fill in the outer edges of our sign that we're making here, and then we'll use a few of the smaller sizes for the center. So now that we've got them all painted and they're dry, we're just going to fold these in 4. And then you'll take a little dot of hot glue and glue the folded edge together. Just a little bit. You don't need a lot of hot glue, and you're just making this shape. And you want to keep it open on the edges so you've got that really pretty kind of like petal look to it, like a flower. So then we'll add some glue to the edges, and we're going to alternate how we put these on. So we're going to do the darker pink first, and then take the folded edge of the next one. We're going to use the light pink, and you're going to add some hot glue to that folded edge, and then start gluing them on in a pattern all the way around until you have the whole entire base filled in. So for this base, I used 4 of the dark pink and 4 of the light pink. So it was 8 of the small size doily for the whole base. And then for the very center, I used 3 of the smaller doilies, and I just did those in, I believe it was the lighter pink. So just keep filling in all the way around. And then once you have those all filled in, we're going to take the smaller doilies and we're going to glue all 3 of them together on that folded edge to create a circle. And then we'll just glue the sides together as well. Once we have them glued together in the center, we'll glue the sides together. We're just using a small dot of hot glue and then just pull them together to create a circle. And then you want to figure out where you're going to put this in the center. And if you need to make it a little bit smaller, I needed mine to be a little shorter. So I fold the bottom in and I hot glue it just to make it a little bit shorter. So when I tuck it down inside, it doesn't stick out too high above the top. And then I use a paintbrush to help push it down in the middle. So it's the same length all the way around that base. And then we'll take our large leaves and we're going to put those on the side using hot glue. I'm just going to tuck your leaves underneath of the petals. Now this sign comes with the hanger already attached, so make sure when you're doing your gluing that you actually make sure that that hanger is at the top so you can hang it easily when you're finished. Then for the little berries here, we're just going to cut some small pieces, wrap it around a pencil to curl it up, and then just tuck it down into your flower using a little bit of hot glue to help hold it in place. Now we're going to take the medium size doilies. We're going to take 2 of them and glue them together. And then we'll add some hot glue and glue this to the back of the sign. And this is just to help fill it in a little bit around the outer edge. It was looking a little small to me. It just wasn't looking quite right with the edge. So I thought it looked better to add that little tiny bit of doily to the outer edge in a lighter color, and then I just kind of scrunch up the edges to look like petals. And then you can just hang it up with the hanger that's already attached, and you have this large DIY wallflower, which was so fun to make and super easy. I just love my stretched canvas and the little tray we came up with today, and I hope you guys do too. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.